Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting Radio, your station for empowerment, music, and talk radio. EB Radio presents Empower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The Empower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
When I get more stuck and all that energy, that feels like a huge contraction in the body. So when there is that contraction in the body, there is really no space for the energy to flow. And when we feel contracted, like I'm sure you've experienced that, we all have, when we feel contracted, there is no access to creativity, no access to resourcefulness, no access to intuition, trust, because when everything is contracted, the energy goes into that contraction.
Today, amazing people, and welcome back. Welcome to Empower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore Smith, and like I say every single Wednesday, it's another amazing Wednesday. And if this is your first time tuning into the show, I am extremely excited that you are tuning into the show. Know that I want you to know that I believe you have the power to be great, have great, and do great. You just have to be willing to unleash your greatness and take action. So, on this show, I speak with leaders, motivators, and influencers who want to come on the show and share the stories and journeys behind their stories. They share their success stories to empower the world for growth and success. And so I'm extremely excited because, boy, do I have a treat for you. But before I jump into who my special guest is for this evening, I want to share a quote. I love quotes on the show, and I want to share a quote that I've really been kind of pondering and just loving. And really, it's a thought. So I don't even know if I should say quote, but just a thought that I have been really pondering, and that is this: mastering your emotions is the key to unlocking your true potential. It transforms simple ambition into enduring success. And so when I'm thinking about thoughts or quotes or something that really just stands out to me, I'll tell you, I'm always asking the question as what does that really mean to me? Like, what does that mean? So I want to dive deep into this before I bring in my amazing guest, just to really let you know what that really means to me. So for me, it's a matter of it really speaks to the heart of what it takes to really achieve, not just the fleeting moments of triumph, but a lifetime of meaningful success. And so mastering your emotions involves understanding, managing, and leveraging your feelings constructively. So when you can do this, you can transform the raw ambition and a desire to achieve into something lasting and truly profound, which is true success. So, speaking on this whole topic of mastering your emotions, you're probably wondering, like, where's, all of this, coming from and what you really, has me thinking and pondering this. And so I really have to bring in my amazing guest for today to tell you, where all this kind of stemmed from. And so before I jump into that, I have to tell you that we got connected through a networking event, and when I tell you, it's one of those connections, and if it's one of those amazing connections that you have a conversation with someone, and then you're like, wow, like you can just talk to them for hours upon hours and hours and hours because you're like-minded. You just share some of the same values and really understand what it is and what it means as far as being able to unleash your greatness and what that really means. And so I'm really excited to share with you today that my special guest is Coach Jewels. I'm extremely excited to have her on the show. And I want to share a little bit of her bio with you, and then we're going to go ahead and bring her in so she can go into details as far as who she is, more about who she is, and then we're just going to have a conversation. So, Coach Jewels is a mastery method certified coach, as well as a yoga and wellness coach. So she blends various modalities into her one on one and group coaching, emotional release, meditation, movement, and mindset work. Jules is gifted in connecting her clients to their body and their emotions to restore their power within. She holds a master's degree in organizational change and leadership. He is all about creating a loving relationship with yourself, and so it's the foundation for expansion and the manifestation of your dream life. That you want to get to know yourself, so that the life you're creating is a match to who you are. So, without further ado, I just want to come on in, Jules, and say hello. I'm super excited to have you on the show. Please, I know I shared a little bit about you, but please tell us more about who Coach Jules is.
Well, thank you so much, Jaresha. I absolutely love your enthusiasm and excitement. Your audience is so blessed with you being this amazing host. And thank you for having me on the show. Yes, I'm so excited to be here and share some of my wisdom and my past. And where shall I start? Well, I can start from the point that probably people wondering what is her accent because that's the question that I get. So I am from Moscow, Russia, and I moved to America about 25 years ago. And a part of my American dream was to own a business because when I lived in Russia, I used to watch this show that was called The Money World with Adam Smith. And that person was talking about capitalism. And that's what I got out of his talk. When you move to America, you have to have a business. But back then, I didn't really know what business to have. I was not asking myself questions like what I should have and what I want. It was more about like, okay, this is what I do, this is what's supposed to be done. So, and my husband and I, we used to live in Buffalo, New York. We used to go to Canada quite a bit. And we got into this franchise, which is a coffee and donut franchise. And it's a Canadian franchise, which is very popular. But it was expanding. And we actually had to move from Buffalo to Ohio. And we opened two locations. And that's how my American dream of owning a business started. And I can
Amen.
tell you, I learned a lot from that experience because, first of all, one caveat to that, back then, all of our restaurants had to be open 24/7, not just figuratively speaking. As you know, when we are in entrepreneurship, sometimes it feels like 24/7, but that was actually, we had to be open 24/7 on top of, being 24/7 involved in owning the business and operations and all of that. So we did that for 10 years. And that led me to actually on my path. And that was the moment when I started to ask, well, what is it that I want? What is it that my heart wants? What is it that I am gifted at? And my path started to lead me to all these different modalities, and this is where I am today. That's kind of the short, short story here.
I love that. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, from having a franchise to you being able to, ask the question, what is it I truly want to do? What is it, like what's next for me? So, I know that one of the things that I know in our conversation too, because when I tell you guys, we've had, I mean, literally some really great conversations, and I think the last time that we spoke, I mean, like literally, we were on a Zoom for, I know it was over 30, it may even been over an hour that we talked, and it was such a great conversation. And I really felt like it was one of those conversations that you show up with your notebook and, like ready to take notes because there's so many nuggets that, you shared that I know if you're not tuning in and listening and don't have your notebook, I'm going to tell you, you may want to grab a piece of paper because you're going to get a lot of nuggets today. But I really would love for you to talk more to us about, this world that you're in now. So, one of the things that, you really speak on and share with others and you're so passionate about is the emotional mastery for success, right? And so
Yes.
because of that, and I know that was one of the things too for me just in our conversation and when, I stepped away, I was like, wow, like just nugget after nugget. So I would love for you to share more on what that truly what that means to you. And you heard me mention the quote that I gave, or I should say the thought that I gave. But if you can share, your experience where the mastering your emotions, has transformed, maybe a situation into like an opportunity for success for you. Or maybe, just within your clients.
Yes. Well, yes, thank you. I have to maybe start from the point that I was very much identified with being a perfectionist, controlling, high overachiever, determined, ambitious. And even though in our culture, all of these identities and labels that we have and we carry, they're actually well received. But on the outside, yes, I looked successful and well put together and determined. But on the inside, I struggled with some levels of anxiety, not feeling good enough, not ever be enough. That's why I kept studying and pursuing and all of that. And that eventually led me to burnt out and stress in my body that I couldn't just handle more pressure, more going forward, more doing, because that's what we do in this culture. We just constantly do. And also, we live in our head quite a bit and fixing and doing more and analyzing and overanalyzing. Like, that's kind of the life I had as well. And I didn't know any better, right? Because everybody around me was kind of doing the same thing. But because I was on the path and I was exploring and connecting more to different modalities through yoga, to breath, to actually learn how to hold myself in silence through meditation. And that was quite a journey. It did not happen overnight because being an ambitious woman, I didn't do anything comfortable when I actually did not have to do anything. And through yoga, I had to learn that part of the world and allowed myself to be okay with some silence and some levels of discomfort. But still, I didn't know what I didn't know. And mindset worked, but to a certain degree, because yes, you can only say affirmation so many times. But what happens in our body is that our body is actually physically goes through the experience that maybe have hurt us in the past or some past failures. And a lot of times when we are um, growth oriented women, when we create something and we need to go forward, we have to face uncertainty. But if we haven't really processed the past, that past a lot of times starts to determine our future. So that's why I work with the women who are already on the path of awareness and they have done a lot of self development and they are into doing, like they're doing stuff, but still they self sabotage themselves. They still not quite getting to where they need to go because a lot of times, and what I know now for sure, what stands between where I want to be with all my goals and growth and all of that, and where I am now is an emotion. Because pretty much everything we do because of how we feel or because how it will make us feel. So that's why if I have some unprocessed failures from my past experiences or that my identity not good enough and I haven't actually worked with it on the emotional level, on the body level, to release that energetic signature, then it's going to continue sabotaging me. And I'm going to be creating a lot of different maneuvering and manipulative techniques not to feel good enough. And that's what's going to essentially block me forward to go forward. So let me know if that makes sense. And I
Oh
can say
yeah.
it in other words, or if you have any questions, we can make it conversational.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's very that it makes so much sense. And I say that coming from a my own journey of you initially started talking about the perfectionist, and that was my story, and I know so many countless
Mm-hmm.
women out there that you know
Mm-hmm.
um, deal with that perfectionist thing and that misconception, and it's hard breaking out of that. And then how you also talked about the anxiety and the struggles that we have as not just women, but I can only speak from a woman point of view. So the struggles that we have as women, and then you started looking for those other options and exploring other options. And I think that as women, I think that we do find ourselves exploring options. But again, it starts with that self awareness and knowing how
Yes.
powerful it is to be self aware of when our body is speaking to us and not just ignoring it. And so, and then you mentioned as far as this, and how we self sabotage ourselves and all of those pieces. And one of the things that I really would love to for you to share more of is how this idea of your body knows the way, and you kind of spoke a little bit about it, um and how we have to be willing to listen to our body signals, and that's going to guide towards us making better choices and better decisions and achieving our goals. But share, if there is a woman out there that's listening right now that it really says that I really can identify with the perfectionist and the self sabotage and just dealing with all these things, and it's the more, the mode of more, like you mentioned. What would you tell her as far as your body knows the way? Like, what would you tell? What would be that messaging that you would tell her?
So for the women who keeps doing and more and more, I would start exploring with her what would that more give her that she perhaps does not experience right now. And through various questions and the dialogue, essentially we're going to end up at a certain feeling that she's going to feel more abundant, or she's going to feel more loved, or she's going to feel more successful, right? So, like, for example, one of my um, those identity wounds that came from that not good enough, and everything kind of starts all in childhood, and that's what a lot of times we carry those childhood wounds in our body until we actually work with them and transmute them so that they're not in the driver's seat, and I can actually create things from where I am right now, which I am 50 now and not 10 years old. But that's work that I help women do to bring those childhood wounds, and like going back to what you said, and also like my story, let's say that success, I've been very much attached in my identity and how I've been developing, so that's not good enough, to like, if I am successful, then I am somebody. If I am successful, then I am happy. If I am successful, then I am meaningful. So, and that attachment is basically a part of my I'm not good enough story, which my body was carrying it because it physically felt that through my many years, and also being an immigrant and trying to make it in this country, all of that, right? So I had to be with it. So when that part of me starts to activate, and essentially when I start creating an intimate relationship with that part, which is into me, intimate, I go into the body instead of for me going out there and create more and do more from that energy that feels very yucky and very needy, right? Like, that energy.
Mhm. Mhm.
That because people always feel the energy, no matter what I'm saying. I might say like great things, but they feel the energy. So when I start using my tools that I've learned and I share with my clients and create that space, first of all, create safety. So you always want to create safe container for the body. That's why it's always important if someone leads you for at least few times so that you can start creating that relationship. And then when I go there with love and compassion, instead of judging myself, because that again not good enough, it always comes from with judgment, with criticism, with harsh language. But here I am learning to be with that part of me that feels activated at the moment, whatever happened, whatever got triggered. So with compassion, with acceptance, with love, and when I am with part of me that feels anxious because of that past wound, it essentially transmutes because there is no resistance. And that's what many women who I work with, in the beginning, they always ask the question, I'm afraid I'm going to get stuck there. But you actually never get stuck in the body and the feeling that the body is feeling, because that feeling is just energy. And energy is designed to flow. When you create space and when you remove resistance and allow acceptance. Where we get stuck is in the story. So because we're very good to be in the mind, and of course that ambitious woman always wants to fix it and make it right. But what happens, you just get stuck in the story, and the story keeps looping, and you feel more anxious, and you feel more anxious, and you don't, you haven't built capacity to feel that amount of an anxiety within you. Then you do more, and you fix more, and essentially, like something has to give in or get through because the energy has to go somewhere, and that's where we might like accidentally get sick, get a sore throat or whatever. Something happens that the energy has to go somewhere. um, so that's why, going back to your question, I guess, and that's kind of my example. So my attachment to success, that's not how I want to create my success, because there is this also principle of freedom from and freedom to. So when I'm creating this success from, like, I'm not successful enough, then I will never be successful no matter what I do. I'm constantly going to be chasing that not good enough, not successful enough. So, but when I'm saying freedom to, this is already embracing and recognizing all my successes, experiencing them, feeling them, and from this abundant place and feeling successful, creating more success, which is basically like what law of attraction is all about. You're not going from and just escaping, like you not feeling good enough, right? But you are going to and creating from success. You only can create more success. So that feels more in line with my soul and my gift. And then from this place, I create my lifestyle. From this place, I structure my schedule. From this place, that I'm already successful just because, like, who I am, and that's good enough, right? Does that make sense?
It does, and it's so good. And I say it's so good because it took me, like, I'm there at that space. So where you mentioned that that's what you're creating, all of this from, is that space. And when I look back at where I'm at versus how it was, years ago, it's a night and day difference. It's a night and day difference. And so it makes perfect sense to me. And I know that it's going to make even more sense to those that are listening and really trying to grasp and get an understanding of, what that means. And, like how you say, loving yourself to success and what that really means for the space that you're at and what you're trying to create for yourself and your desired reality.
Hey there, busy professionals and small business owners. Are you struggling to keep track of your tasks and projects? Do you find it challenging to stay organized and focused with all the chaos of daily responsibilities? Well, we've got just a solution for you, Todoist. Todoist is a powerful to-do list and task manager designed to help professionals and small businesses like yours streamline their tasks, projects, and so much more. Imagine having all your tasks and projects neatly organized in one place, easily accessible whenever you need them. With Todoist, you can boost your personal and team productivity, enhancing your efficiency and focus throughout the day. I personally use Todoist every single day, and it has revolutionized the way I manage my work and stay on top of my priorities. If you're looking for a tool that will genuinely help you get organized and stay focused, Todoist is your answer. But don't just take my word for it. Try it out for yourself and experience the difference. The link to try Todoist is in the show notes. Trust me, you won't regret it. So what are you waiting for? Click that link in the show notes and start your journey towards unparalleled productivity today. That's Todoist, where your to-do list becomes a done list.
On this show, I ask all the guests that come on the show, a couple of different questions. And one of those questions is, as we talk about success, we think about wins, and how we all, we love the success, we love the wins, but on the flip side of that, there's also those failures that happen, that occur in our lives that teaches us those important lessons. Can you share with us just maybe your thoughts or maybe some lessons that you've learned from, your own journey and being able to really fail forward?
Okay. So yeah, my failures. Um, well, I don't look at them as failures anymore. So yes, when I was again driven from that not good enough and not worthy, which again put me more into that I have to earn my worth and I have to do more and I have to accomplish more so that I am enough and all of that. So now that's why I looked at everything that I did not do right or perfect enough. That was like a failure, and that went into that whole spiral of the harsh language and judgment and criticism and all of that, which of course when I put that layer on top I get more stuck, and when I get more stuck in all that energy, that feels like a huge contraction in the body. So when there is that contraction in the body, there is really no space for the energy to flow. And when we feel contracted, like I'm sure you've experienced that, we all have, when we feel contracted, there is no access to creativity, no access to resourcefulness, no access to intuition, trust, because when everything is contracted, the energy goes into that contraction. So that's why everything back then kind of fed my whole idea with not good enough, and failure felt like a really big failure. So, and I also did not have the skills I have now to really process the work. So now I kind of consider all this as opportunity and lessons for my growth, because I see myself as the one who, leads me out and leads me through and leads me towards, bigger and greater. So that's why I like to see things now, yes, through the prism of love. How is it happening for me? How is it helping me become a better coach, become a better leader, become a better person, a better wife, um, become less attached to my outside success and all of that. So, and yes, again, depending on my capacity to hold space for those emotions that come with these different failures. So, of course, like some experiences might feel more painful than others. But again, it's not how I feel or how the body feels that pain, but it's more of those stories that I come up with. And that's when the pain becomes even more painful. So basically, I learned from things that didn't quite go the way I expected. But again, what's different right now is I learned to do it with love. Because when I do it with love, I believe that love is the path of least resistance. And when I'm not resisting what's happening, I am accepting and allowing. And when I'm accepting and allowing, again, staying with my body, because the body is the one that actually had to go through the physical space of feeling that failure, feeling that pain, right? So when I am with the body and give and nurture myself in those moments as much as my body needs it and my mind, then I am back in the game, because love is a powerful energy and it's infinite. And I believe it's the energy of all, and like the whole universe, the divine, that's what holds the bigger love. So that's why when I'm applying love on myself, especially through the moments of failure, I'm also connected to the divine love that holds space for me. And that's what a lot of times, like in my mind, I just start imagining like this pain that I feel from the failure, like from those things that didn't go the way I wanted, it's an ambitious moment, blah, blah. I just start visualizing like this energy that gets bigger, 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 bigger. And I have so much space, and there is like this aperture opened, and then there is so much space for that energy that I feel from failure just to move and transmute. And that feels very expensive and feels good. And then I'm back to wholeness, back to my completeness, back to me, who I am, and create what I choose to create and impact people I choose to impact. So because I believe that we can only expand and we can only get to that next level from when we feel whole, within ourselves. Because that's the only part that's the only space you can expand from. Because when you're separate from all your parts and you like this and you don't like those or whatever, expansion is going to be very challenging. So yeah, does that help?
Absolutely. It's so good. I'm over here like, yes, yes, yes. And of course, not wanting to, interrupt and really chime in. But yes, I love how, you pretty much, speak on and talk about the loving yourself. So success is a choice, and you've actually mentioned some of the or some of the things that you do. You mentioned like meditation. What are some other, I guess, maybe self-love practices that you do or you've incorporated in your daily routine that perhaps you can share that may help, some of those that are listening to help them really loving themselves?
Well, yeah, practices are important, but I feel like what's really, really important is the relationship to yourself, and also cultivating the energy of love within you. And love, the one that I'm talking about, is unconditional. Love is with no agenda. So that's why when my human ego mind comes up and says, "Oh no, but you're not successful enough, so that then you cannot, do this or have that," that's a condition. So that's why I was talking about practices. It's just one of the best and the most important practices is how you talk to yourself. But that starts from your identity and you embodying love unconditionally, and that means embodying yourself unconditionally. So in the moments when you're not so ambitious and so determined and whatever, and in the moments when you are, like, can you still love yourself? So that's why I feel loving yourself to success is one of the best pathways, because when you love yourself to success, love is forgiving, love is compassionate, love is kind, love is gentle, love is embodying, love is accepting, love is trusting, love is safe. So, and that's what's going to help you stay in the game until you succeed, until you get to where you choose to go, and not if or when. So that's why it's the only energy that can hold it all. And I believe the best practice is going to be still self-talk, and also knowing there are stages to love. Like when I work with my clients, I take them through the stages that I call I need love. And that's where we all start. This is the conditional love. And that starts again from childhood. So, and that's a very important stage. So that's where I start pretty much everyone, because we're all there. That's why all of that we carry to the future and make lots of attachments there. And then the second stage is I choose love. And this is when I come to more of that awareness, like you mentioned, conscious love. When I start choosing to see everything and everything from the perspective of how is it helping me? How is it happening for me? And also seeing other people from the prism of love, like, can I give them a second chance? What if they're doing the best they can, right? Can I just apply love to them and give them that second chance? And then the third stage is when I am love, and that's that identity. So when you don't have to prove, earn, you're just who you are, and you go in your life and you grow and you impact and you do your best. You are love. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to look for it. You can be the love that you want to experience, and you are that. So, and then the fourth stage is all is love, which is that divine is everywhere. And in yoga, so there are chakra systems, and every chakra has a different color. And the heart chakra, which is that unconditional love heart chakra, has the color green. And in my mind, I visualize, like when I go for my walks, like that's another practice. So I like to go on morning walks, and I just see green everywhere. And that's my moment to connect with the divine love that is everywhere. And it's like the divine is just reminding, like, you're not alone. We're here. Love is everywhere. Look, there's green. And when you just look outside and there is so much green, that's where I also believe when we have a loving relationship with ourselves and our heart is open, we're actually in the energy of receiving. Because that's what, when I work with my clients, especially those ambitious, high achieving women, that's what I've been noticing, because they've been contracting their heart and covering up their wounds and all of those not comfortable emotions. They're constantly in that closed heart energy, and they're actually blocking themselves from the receiving. Even like when they receive success they worked for, they just like lose it because they don't quite have practiced the resiliency to hold space for so much success, for so much love.
Wow, wow, wow. So good. I said when we first started that it's so important for you to come in as you listen. You have to show up with your notebook to be able to write down these nuggets, this wisdom that you're sharing. If you could give one piece of advice to those that are listening right now on how they could empower their own growth and success journey, what would that be, Jules?
I want to say choose love, because love always chooses you, and you matter. When you choose love and embody the energy of love that you are, and release that hard work because you have to, so that you feel good enough or feel worthy, you're going to be in a completely different energy of creating and impacting many more people and creating your business and life and relationships. And that's a different energy. That's the energy of more joy, play, having fun, and just really, really like feeling so excited that you live the life. Like you started our talk today. It's like, hey, there's another day. And that's how you just live. Like, oh, it's another day to show up, to be you, to grow from where you are, to expand into not the better version of you necessarily, but just a favorite version of you, a fun version of you, a loving version of you, right? Um, that's what I have to say because it's more of the shifting from hard work to heart work. So going to your heart, feel all the feels, and learn to hold safe space and also increase your capacity and resiliency to experience all the feels that life has to offer because that's what life is all about. And if we constantly avoid it or run away from it and then essentially create lots of overwork that is not necessary, then we are basically constantly trying to control and manipulate life. So that's why when we start creating capacity to feel all the feels and work with it with love, then we are more built for living the life because life is always going to be in up and down and in between. And it's not really in my total control to, control life so that I don't feel certain things or don't feel certain emotions. That's, I guess, my advice. Choose love because love always chooses you unconditionally.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I love how you just said that, of course, we're going to go through the ups and downs, but ultimately we get to choose how we respond to things. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I have learned, and this is probably, very recent on my journey, is how we have to be careful how we respond and the energy that we allow in. Because of that reason, because it's very easy for things and for people to come in and just, try to alter and change things in our paths and, where we're at in just that energy. So I thank you so much for sharing that because very much, like I understand it all too well, just based off of my own journey. Um, if you could share with us, how can we stay connected to you? Your social media. What's the best way to really stay connected to you and learn more about, your coaching services and what you have to offer?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. My website is jewelcoaching.com. So this is Jewel without S, like Jewel with an U. And I hang out on Instagram, and that's Jewel with S underscore coaching.
Are you ready to unlock your maximum potential and elevate your Boss CEO journey? Join the Boss CEO Challenge. Inspired by the best-selling book, Unlocking Your Maximum Potential, a 30-day devotional for boss CEOs. So what is a boss CEO? A boss CEO is a visionary leader, motivator, and influencer who takes charge, inspires others, and drives their life and business towards success with confidence and innovation. In this transformative 30-day challenge, you'll dive into powerful devotions that will provide you with actionable insights to supercharge your boss CEO skills. And the best part, each participant will receive an autographed copy of the book, making it a keepsake on your journey to success. But that's not all. You'll also gain exclusive access to engaging videos and live events designed to help you truly unlock your maximum potential. This challenge is exactly what you need to do to connect with like-minded boss CEOs and share your growth experiences in our supportive community. Don't wait any longer to elevate your business and transform your mindset. Click the link in the show notes to join the Boss CEO Challenge today. Unlock your potential, connect with a community of achievers, and step into the Boss CEO you were meant to be.
What makes you feel inspired and like you're being your best self?
I really love what I do and just seeing the transformation of my clients, and I work with females when they start feeling more connected to who they are instead of pretending who they should be. So that's what I believe like our journey is all about. We have our conditioned self when the world told us who we should be, and we have that loving, soulful self. And when I see they have more smiles, I mean, they're smiling more, they're laughing more, they're actually experiencing better relationships with their partners, they're showing up more powerfully at work, they're not afraid to feel all the feels and still come back to their power and make those empowering decisions. So that's what makes my heart dance. And I feel I'm just blessed to do what I do and impact more women to be powerful, not because something outside of them has to change or someone outside of them has to give them love or something, but just because of who they are. And there are so many beautiful and amazing women, just like you are, Jaresha, and your audience, I know. And if they feel like they have to work and prove themselves so that they feel that way, I am happy to show them that that's who they are already. And it's not about proving and doing more. It's more about just connecting inward and embodying who they already are. So they are beautiful human beings and they have wonderful hearts and they can create from love and heart and the energy of the powerful, empowered, like your show, empowered energy.
Yes, that's so good. So good. I absolutely I love all of it. And I love it so much because, like I had shared when from the very beginning, that in our conversation that we've had, that it's just, I mean, it's amazing conversation. And now the world gets to hear, your nuggets, your wisdom, your insights, and just, it's absolutely amazing. And you're so right and so on point as well. So again, I thank you, Coach Jules, for being on the show and just sharing with, myself and really empowering everyone with, sharing more about your journey and your insights and your nuggets of wisdom because it's very powerful, very, very powerful. Listen, today has been absolutely amazing, as I knew it would be. I start each and every one of the shows with saying you have the power to be great, have great, and do great. You just have to be willing to unleash your greatness and take action. And so I really need you to remember that. I need you to remember just that you have the power to be great, have great, and do great. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. You see, greatness isn't reserved for just, a few of us, a chosen few. It's for every one of us, including you. But here's the thing: it's not just enough for us to just have the potential. We have to be willing to unleash it. You have to be willing to to look in the mirror and say, I refuse to let fear, I refuse to let doubt or anything else hold me back. And understand this: action is the key. Because dreams without actions are just dreams, but dreams with action turn into reality. So we can be great. We can step up. We can do all the things that we need to do. It's just recognizing that we have that greatness that is within us. It's recognizing. that you are created for greatness. So I truly hope that you enjoyed today's show. Thank you for tuning in to the Empower Hour with Jaresha show. And until next time, stay safe and be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journey in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit www.empoweronpurpose.com. Remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.